Welcome to Technovation. I'm your host, Peter High. My guest today is Sri Donthi, the Executive Vice President and Chief Technology Officer of Advanced Auto Parts, a role he's held for roughly 3.5 years. In that role, he's accountable for developing and implementing enterprise-wide technology strategy that delivers information systems and services to accelerate growth. He also leads overall information security and is a member of the company's executive leadership committee. Prior to his current role, he spent 7 years at PepsiCo. His roles there included Chief Information Officer and Senior Vice President, PepsiCo, Frito-Lay, North America, and Global E-commerce, as well as the Global Chief Technology Officer role. Sri, welcome. It's great to speak with you today.
Oh, a pleasure to be here, Peter. So I know it's been a while we spoke, but I'm happy to connect with you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Well, Sri, you are the Executive Vice President and Chief Technology Officer of Advanced Auto Parts, a role that you've had for nearly 3.5 years now. And I wonder if you can, as the Chief Technology Officer role translates very differently in different organizations, can you take a moment and just describe your responsibilities as CTO?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I mean, every company has a different responsibilities on it. But as we thought about our role as a CTO, as a technology leader, in advance. Our objective is truly advancing our advanced auto parts by building a new technology and the digital capabilities for the future. And with that comes in as a responsibility to truly become a liaison between business and the technology organizations, and looking at as an end-to-end enterprise architecture and building capabilities for the future on this. So most of my time has been spent partnering with the businesses and understanding what the not only today's needs are and what are those unmet needs for future the standpoint, right? So that's been really the exciting part coming on to the advanced auto parts and building this technology strategy to help support our business.
Well, let's get into that strategy itself. As we've spoken about previously, I find it really interesting the way in which digital and technology is woven into the broader narrative of the business itself. You have a vision, you've noted, I'm quoting you here, of advance a world in motion by creating innovative, customer-centric digital solutions that enable profitable growth. And I find this really compelling. It's customer-centric. It talks about not only growth, but also growth of profit, which presumably means both the revenue part of the conversation in addition to cost efficiencies. And you talk about a world in motion, the dynamism of the current economy, and so on. Maybe talk a little bit about that vision and the role that your organization plays in it.
No, that's a great observation, Peter. As we really kind of thought about building, as I came on 3 years ago, to really build a vision and strategy. That was the vision where you just articulated, but to really the strategy is, to really support that is to become a truly customer centric and building the solutions that are going to really differentiate it for our customers as one of the component as part of our strategy. I'll kind of peel that. What does that really mean from the customer centricity standpoint? The second big component is the team member experience. We have 70,000 the team members in our company. First and foremost, I want to really take a minute to thank all of our the team members during 2020. It's been a challenging year. We being the essential the services company, our stores were open, and we needed to make sure that the health of our team members and safety of our customers is a priority. So they worked through relentlessly in 2020 to continue to serve our customers. So I want to really take the time to be able to thank all of our team members for that. And the team member experience kind of comes in with how do we really enable them to be efficient as they are serving customers, and what digital capabilities that are needed. How do we improve the collaboration for them? How do we make it as easy to work with, right? So that is the second component as the team member experience. And the third one is a truly is a digitization of all of our processes. Peter, we as a company has kind of came together through the acquisition in the last 6 7 years, and how do we really bring it together as a one company and truly go through that digitization. But when we're going through that digitization, how do we really look for a simplification of that, the business processes that what we need to do, and would it require, how do we automate, as a much more of a hyper automation that, we're really looking for. And then the last one is truly driving the value, and value with the speed and agility. Like many other technology leaders are looking for ways to continue to, the add a value to the business, but how do we really look at it more of a product centric organization and driving much more of a continuous delivery and driving with more of an engineering mindset, inside of our organization. So that way we actually are looking for outcomes in terms of the value standpoint that what is needed. But obviously none of these, would be even feasible without having to have a much more a thinking of a modern architecture, right? So, to me, the modern architecture is kind of a building that flexibility in the, architecture through, microservices, or, the leveraging the newer, the data platforms that to be able to really support that speed and agility, but also the scalability part of it. As part of this modern architecture, we have actually made the decision to kind of move into a more cloud first strategy, as well. Certainly it's not a new thing in these days from a technology and a CTO's toolkit standpoint, but it's certainly we're moving into much more as a cloud first strategy as well. And then last and definitely not the least is the overall data and intelligence. It's an area that it's never be complete in my experience, but the more that we actually harmonize overall from a data standardization standpoint, kind of mastering that master data to really building more insights and analytics and predictive, the elements to support the more of a dynamic businesses like us, that the things do change based on the weather, based on the seasonality, and based on affordability. We believe that having this as a data and intelligence platform helps us to really support our customers, much better as well.
Well, that's a great overview, Sri. Thank you so much. I'd love to dig into a couple of them at least in greater detail. Before we do, though, I'd love to understand the extent to which this vision and strategy suggests new ways of doing business for the digital and technology team. I'm curious what this meant in terms of changes in talents necessary and skills necessary, and the extent to which it meant retraining some of the existing staff, as well as bringing in new people who knew what good looked like from the standpoint of where you're going as opposed to where the organization's been.
Yeah, great question, Peter. I mean, it is a critical ingredient to be successful, having the, number one, the right skill sets, inside of the organization. And I spoke of it as the engineering culture, is something that we're really building inside of our, the advanced auto parts. To me, the having the engineering culture is that we need to be comfortable to innovate, and we need to be intellectually curious, and we need to be driving the speed and agility, and also we need to have a passion for the domain. And the domains could be on our, like, the B2C side of the domain, or B2B side of the domain, or our supply chain, or a merchandising as a domains on this. So, as part of this, when I came in, 3 years ago, certainly looked at that's one of the areas of skill sets, what we have and what is really needed, and what we have, how do we really upgrade them, right? So we put an intense program of, upgrading the skill sets by training, but also more importantly, acquiring this new engineering skills that are needed. As part of that, I'm really pleased to announce that we not only really recruited, hundreds of team members in U.S. in primarily in Raleigh, Roanoke, and Richmond are our locations here in North Carolina and Virginia. But also we established a global capability center in India. The primary driver is to access to the talent. And access to the technology talent was one of our primary driver, in the entire 2020. I'm happy to really say that we're able to get close to 250 of our, the team members recruited in our GCC that are helping us to really build this new capabilities to support. So the technology talent is the key, for us, and that's something that we knew a couple of years ago, and that's why we've been really building. But having said that, this is not ever a done thing, as you know, Peter. That the new the technologies are coming up, and career pathing and training to our the technology talent is something that we're really looking at as a continuous the programs for us.
Yeah, that's great. I also see some real connection points across the model, certainly, but especially through the end-to-end process digitalization, as well as the modernization of your architecture. Those strike me as foundational items that are really important as you're introducing so much that is new. You spoke about data and artificial intelligence. You talked about some of the technologies to introduce and implement that would delight customers. You talked about increasingly developing a product orientation. If you're building those new capabilities upon antiquated processes and antiquated architecture, then in some ways you're actually building greater levels of complexity into the system. You made it quite clear, of course, that part of what you're trying to do is simplify, make this a cloud first and therefore a modern architecture and portfolio that you're building upon. I wonder if you could take a quick moment and between those two areas, talk a bit about that journey and how long you anticipate it taking, recognizing that perhaps there's never a full destination for that. But for any organization that's been around for a while, there's a fair amount that is no doubt redundant, a fair amount that is antiquated, and therefore in need in both cases of updating and upgrading. Talk a bit about the methods you've used from those perspectives, please.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question. You sound like our CEO, Tom Greco, quite honestly. He does ask me that, hey, when are we going to really finish this? But, the approach that we took, as I came in 3 years ago, Peter, that, the three approaches that we took, one is the fix, and second one is a build, and the third one is a transform. Right. So the fix is that really to truly upgrade our technologies that, has been a little bit, not focused on it, I would say in a previous years and had a lot of obsolete technology, right? Unsupported platforms that, what we had. And it was not making it easy for our team members to help support our customers on this, right? So, we looked at that as part of that, the talent upgrade, is one of them as part of the fix that we looked at it. But build is the area that really bringing into a one common platform, like getting into a one payroll, right? We had 4 different payroll systems before and getting into a one general ledger, the system, and then getting into a one, the inventory management system, right? So one, the WMS as a supply chain systems, right? So, this is the journey that we put together. That's a, 3.5 years of a journey, but certainly with the 2020, it's taken a little bit of pause given the pandemic, the situations, but that's like a build on this. And then the third one is a transform, the part of it, right? So now that you have this as a, the single source of truth and a one common platform, and it really leverages that to really build a much more of a what we call dynamic assortment, right? So the dynamic assortment is that, really getting the assortment closer to the customers for us by understanding the geography, understanding the demand in that area based on the vehicles in that area and zip code, how do we really get all of our assortment closer to the our customers is one of that we believe we can really kind of help our customers by as part of transforming. Same thing with the mobile app, as a digital capability part of the transformation that we're really putting in place. In 2020, obviously, like many companies, we're not exception, but had to accelerate number of digital capabilities as part of our transform. Right? We actually, in the middle of COVID, we deployed our mobile app. We are a bit late to the market, but now I'm happy to say that really taking the lead on in terms of getting the downloads and our customers using our mobile app to be able to really support what their needs are, right? So that's something that we delivered, and we also delivered a same-day service. It's a suite of services that we put together and prioritized in 2020 to be able to deliver very quickly in a weeks and months, to be able to support our customers, during this pandemic. It's something that is not as normal and common for this industry as a same day delivery. We talked about a same day, but our 90+% of our orders been delivered in 3 hours. Yes, it's a 3 hours is something that to really help customers that whose car broke down on the streets or at home, so they need to be able to really repair that. So we felt this is something critical for our business on this, right? So that's how we've been really prioritizing and putting as a transform on it. So again, it's a build, the fixed build and transform that we prioritized, and we are kind of coming off of fix into the more build and a transform. And none of these is a sequential, Peter. We had to do some level of the parallel efforts while we're fixing some things, while we needed to transform there's some areas, but we see this as a the 3 to 5 years journey for us to be able to get through, and then there is going to be the next trends that will be coming in that we will want to leverage this modern architecture and the data platform that we're building.
That's great. A great overview indeed. I wanted to, you spoke a little bit about something I'd like to delve into a little bit further, and that is both your objective of delighting customers as well as enhancing team member experience. The methods and even the expectations of each constituent group, both customers as well as colleagues, changed quite a bit, no doubt, as a result of the pandemic and new ways of working. Obviously, the way in which it changed all of our lives for so much time here and reset our expectations to a greater extent. And I'm curious. It sounds as though that's been a real catalyst for change. But I'm curious if you could take a little bit more time and talk about the evolving expectations in those two constituent groups, both customers as well as employees, as a result of the past 18 months or so, and the ways in which digital and technology play this critical role in meeting those new expectations.
Yeah, it's definitely right. From a customer standpoint, Peter, overall, this 2020 taught many new things for our customers on how it can support their convenience, that what they need, but also in a timely, right? So I think in our industry, what we see is that 80-90% of our customers, they look up first, digitally before they even choose to either buy it online or go to the store to really pick up. Great news is that we have a lot of assets, across the U.S. Peter, that we have close to the 4,800 stores, across the U.S. So the customers have a choice that once they look up, hey, I want to be able to drive up 10 minutes around the street to be able to pick up the part, or they can make the order online and after buying online to be able to pick up at the store, right? So they have that flexibility to do that, but we're seeing that as a more trend from a digitally available information from a customer standpoint, right? So And the team member side, the need for collaboration, within the store or a store to our distribution center, and the distribution center into our corporate, the support teams, that how do we really ensure the support, the customer journey and the customer needs are met, quickly, and also, getting the right part into the right place, as well. So, that those are some of the things that have come up, for us. Obviously, 2020 taught us to be more, you call it as the video fatigue on, but a lot of people have been, kind of leveraging this video conference. As the pandemic hit, like many companies, that we never thought that we would be as remote as quickly as we were. In fact, I always say this to our CEO that, if you would have asked me to really, can you work in a more flexible and a hybrid model prior to the pandemic, I probably would have come up with, oh, we had to do list of things before we actually enable that, and that would take several years on it. But none of us had that time, and we had to really act quickly on it. I'm really proud of our teams, Peter. During that time, how we enabled our the remote VPN capabilities, and building in a resiliency, and leveraging cloud technologies to be able to really support all of our teams in a much more remotely. And now, like many companies, that we're really thinking about what would this future of workplace would look like, right? So, it's going to be somewhere like a hybrid model, right? So it's not going to be like swinging back and saying everybody's going to really come, to the workplace that where they left, but how do we really operate in the hybrid, the side of it. So, those are some of the things that we're looking at, as how do we make it as a hybrid environment, as seamless for our team members, so that way they can be more effective regardless of you are in the office, physical office, or you're remote, or one day here and one day is remote, on this stuff. So that's what we're really working through from a team member standpoint.
That's great. Thank you for that overview. I wanted to dig just a little further also into the data and intelligence aspect of the vision and strategy. You highlighted some of the practices you're putting in place there, and new revenue opportunities you hope to elicit from that work. Maybe you can take a little bit more time and just talk a bit about some of the new things that you and the team are doing relative to that topic. One that is growing in importance across so many different organizations like yours. How do those ideas apply to Advanced Auto Parts, please?
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely a ton. The data and AI is in everyone's strategy, I would say. It's not unique to Advance, but I think in our case, trying to get the master data really mastered on this, right? Whether it's understanding of customer, right? We have two different types of customers. One is a professional customers. We call it as a B2B, the side of it. And then we have a DIY customers that who are coming into our store, our website. And, how do we really bring it as a one common, the customer understanding of it, is the one. And the item master is the second one, location and the team members, all of these data that we kind of went through of a master data management component. And then really understanding of islands of data, that is whether it's inside of our data warehouses that we had, from a various, banners inside of the company. And also there is some data that is externally hosted as well. Some of our marketing data was hosted, externally, or some of the pricing data was hosted externally. In last couple of years, we actually brought all of the data together into a platform that we built as a data lake, leveraging, the Amazon AWS platform. So we kind of brought all of the data together, and to drive this personalization. Our the CMO Jason McDonald's is really passionate about driving the customer value. And to drive the customer value, he needed to understand who that customer is and what are the buying patterns for that customer, what are the needs for that customer, right? Then he can actually help tailor through the personalization, or to be able to tailor to the loyalty programs that we've been able to put together. We have a program called Speed Perks as a loyalty program to be able to understand what their spend with us, and then how we can really support them for their needs as a go forward. And obviously, other new things that are really coming up in terms of understanding the demographics of our the customers across the US, and also the regional in nature, to see what the specific vehicles are there, and the miles driven of those vehicles. That way we can actually get the right part into those right distribution centers, and the right the our stores, to be able to really support the customer. And then lastly, on a pricing competitiveness is something that we've been working on in terms of making sure that as the inflation grows, and how do we really price right to our customers to drive the value, and at the same time to improve the operating margins for our company. So we're at the beginning stages at this point, Peter, but we're really leveraging that data as an asset at this point to really truly build this, the personalization and the differentiation that our, the chief marketing officer is driving.
That's a fantastic overview. I wanted to, here at the close of our conversation, Sri, ask you if there are any other trends that particularly excite you as you look to the future. A number of them, including in your most recent answer, are particularly important, not only at Advanced Auto Parts, but across so many organizations. Any others that come to mind in terms of areas of emphasis or focus of your team?
Yeah, I mean, the ones that I mentioned, going deeper is one of the priorities for us. So, we're in a very, very early stages of, AI and ML. It's something that, we're actually trying to build a practice of AI with the data science. We have a number of data science, the team members, inside of our marketing team, really focused on understanding that, the customer, and building models to drive that customer value on that. And there is a team in our merchandising team that is truly focused on understanding the entire item, and the item master, and the demand is a demand forecast that comes in, to be able to really support, and adding in new SKUs as the customer needs on this, right? So AI ML is going to be continued focus on this. And is another one that RPA is the second one that we're really looking at. It's not a new trend, but it's a trend that we are really focused on, given we are building a lot of common platforms at this point. So now I can really apply more of a RPA as a capabilities to drive this hyper automation that is really needed. And the third one is the IoT. Is something that we're closely monitoring, Peter, given that we have some of the high value and high velocity products that are distributed in 4,600 plus locations across the US. And how do we really leverage IoT to be able to truly see the movement of those products? That way we can build a much better demand, the accuracy, from a forecast standpoint. That way we can drive the better supply to be able to support our stores and the team members on this. I mean, that's what I would say the some of the trends that we're really looking at. Also the blockchain is also out there. Given that we are a sort of supply chain company, the complexities that exist within the supply chain, we're looking to really leverage some of the blockchain capabilities to see how we simplify our operation.
Well, a great overview, Sri, and an exciting vision for the future from across this conversation. The many things that you and your team are working on, have already accomplished, but also of the aspects of it that are yet to come. I really appreciate you taking time and providing an overview of your areas of focus and some of your exciting view of the future and what it holds for you and for your customers as well. It's been a great conversation, Sri.
Thank you, Peter. It's been my pleasure, and then I always learn every interaction that I have with you. So, thank you so much for your partnership.
Thank you so much. You're kind to say that.